Hey, I'm not going to do the usual magic or hypnosis that I do, but I want to talk about discrimination against those with true psychiatric and mental disorders. I hate it when people say, oh, he belongs in a loony bin, she is crazy, oh, what a nutball, without understanding. It's out of ignorance, or if they do know, it's out of cruelty. So I'm making this video to be educational. I'm going to talk specifically about bipolar disorder, also known as manic depression. That was the name it was known by years ago, but some people still use it. That's where you have mood swings. You might be on a really good, fantastic high, feeling super, feeling really good, on top of the world. You might go on spending sprees, make foolish business ventures, be restless, talk nonstop, etc. And then you might crash into a deep depression where you don't want to get out of bed, um, are just super depressed, low energy. The severe types, people that are really low will attempt or complete suicide. I think it's 20 or 25% of those with a depressive disorder do um, take their lives. And I hate to say it, in the past I've made 2 or 3 serious attempts on my life, and I've had to be in ICU. Um, it's not a good thing. Um, there's a lot of famous people that have bipolar disorder. Beethoven, Abraham Lincoln was said to have it, Kurt Cobain, Ozzy Osbourne, Jim Carrey, Drew Carey, Francis Ford Coppola, because you also, when you're on that high, you get really creative. You get really creative. Um, Patty Duke, Tony Dowd, the older brother that was on Leave It to Beaver. Um, it's very common, which is good or bad, however you look at it. There's a lot of people that do have it, and it's a true medical illness that uh, 90% of the time requires medicine and therapy. But it can be controlled, and people can go on and live happy, normal lives, being on the medicine and therapy and so on. I actually have the Psychiatric Bible, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. It has every psychiatric disorder, its symptoms, and how long that you have to have those particular symptoms for you to meet that criteria. It has the sociology and epidemiology, how many people in society will have this psychiatric disorder and that one. Um, it's serious and it's real. It's not made up. Um, and those who discriminate, it's out of fear. They're afraid, um, and they're ignorant, It's like any other medical illness, like asthma, um, high blood pressure, or heart problems. You have to take medicine to control it. And it really upsets me when people discriminate against it. I will read you the um, the symptoms of the low phase of the disorder. Depressed mood most of the day, nearly every day, as indicated by either subjective reports, feel sad or empty, or observation made by others, like tearfulness. Now, in children and adolescents, it can be an irritable mood. Markedly diminish interest or pleasure in all or almost all activities most of the day, nearly every day, as indicated by either subjective or observations made by others. Significant weight loss when not dieting, or weight gain, a change of more than 5% of body weight in a month, or a decrease and increase in appetite nearly every day. Note, in children, consider failure to make expected weight gains. Yes, children do and can have this. Insomnia or hypersomnia, that's where you sleep too much, nearly every day. Psychomotor agitation, which is where you're really active, or retardation, that's where you're just really slowed. Nearly every day, observable by others, not merely subjective feelings of restlessness or being slowed down. Fatigue or loss of energy nearly every day. Feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt, which may be delusional, nearly every day, not merely self-reproach or guilt about being sick. Diminished ability to think or concentrate, or indecisiveness nearly every day, either by a subjective account or observed by others. Recurrent thoughts of death, not just fear of dying. Recurrent suicidal ideation, being preoccupied with suicide, without a specific plan or a suicide attempt, or a specific plan for committing suicide. That is the low end of the spectrum. Now, here are the symptoms when people are on the high end of the spectrum. Inflated self-esteem or grandiosity, decreased need for sleep, feels rested only after 3 hours of sleep, more talkative than usual, or pressure to keep talking. Flight of ideas or subjective experience, that thoughts are racing. Flight of ideas or subjective experience, that thoughts are racing. Distractibility, attention too easily drawn to unimportant or irrelevant external stimuli. Now, this is an ADD or ADHD. Increased in goal-directed activity, either socially, at work, or school, or sexually, or psychomotor agitation, restlessness, in other words. Excessive involvement in pleasurable activities that have a high potential for painful consequences. Engaging in unrestrained buying sprees, sexual indiscretions, or foolish business investments. So those are the symptoms of the high phase and the low phase. And sometimes someone could have what they call mixed episode, where they have symptoms from both of those. But that is what bipolar disorder is. It is real. If you know someone who has it, encourage them to get help and be there for them. And also, they have to take the responsibility to go to therapy and take their meds. Meds are important. If you go off your meds, and I have seen this, medicine does work. I have seen people off their meds and their symptoms are really strong, and then I've seen people on meds and they're very controlled. Do not discriminate against not just bipolar, but anxiety disorder, schizophrenic disorders, and so on. They are people too, with a real medical illness. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have learned a lot. Rewatch us if you need to. Thank you, and God bless you and your loved ones. Take care.